Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of The Dog's Dish. In today's video, we are going to be talking about raw goat cheese and also raw goat milk for your dogs. So why are these things good for your dog? They provide so many benefits, and we're going to go through each one of them as it relates to the cheese and the milk. Now, these products are 100% Canadian. The goats are all raised on a non-GMO alfalfa, and they also have free range on a pasture. So they're all antibiotic and hormone free, which is a really important item. Now also, this goat's cheese and the goat's milk is not the same as what you see in grocery stores. These are raw products, and these are not designed for human consumption as they have not been pasteurized. They also have spirulina and probiotics added to them, and then they are cultured for 10 days. So it ends up that the cheese is more like a kefir, and the milk is also similar. Now, what's the difference between raw goat milk and raw goat cheese? Well, really, the benefits are the same for both of them, but the raw goat cheese is fed more as a treat, whereas the raw goat milk is something that you can give your dog every day in a dish for them to lap up. So the primary benefits out of these products is probiotics. Now, you've heard me talking a lot about microbiomes, you've read a lot about microbiomes, and you've also heard about how important it is to have a good, robust gut flora. Now, this is true for people and for our dogs, but in particular for dogs, we're just learning about how important a good gut flora is and how much probiotics, pre-probiotics play a role in that. There's many different forms that probiotics come in for dogs, and it's important to have a good variety of those. One product is not going to fulfill all the needs for your dogs. So you want to have a variety, also for interest for your dogs, but also to be able to provide the most benefit for your dog's gut flora development. Now, the other advantage when you have the goat's milk is that it's an excellent source of hydration. It's similar to feeding your dog a bone broth, which is also a great product to give to your dogs. And you can add the goat's milk and the goat's cheese no matter what type of food your dog is eating. If your dog is eating a kibble diet, just crumble the cheese up and mix it through the kibble, or take the milk and pour it over top of the kibble. This is a great trick, especially if you have a young dog that you are not feeding a raw food to. Soak your kibble in the goat's milk. It becomes nice and soft. This is great for a puppy, and it's also great for a senior dog. Some senior dogs, especially if they've been on a kibble diet for a period of time, they have problems with their dentition. They may have even lost several of their teeth. So if you're able to soak the kibble in the raw goat's milk, you're giving them all sorts of benefits from the goat's milk and also making it much easier for them to consume their food. If your dog is eating a raw dog food diet, just feed the goat's milk to them separately in a bowl. And for the cheese, again, you can feed it to them whole as a treat, or just take one cube. The cubes come in various sizes, so just take one cube, crumble it up over their food, sprinkle it through. Again, you want to introduce these products slowly, like you do with anything that's new for a dog. And once they are used to eating these things, for a 20-pound dog, I would feed about this much of the goat cheese, those cubes. And I would alternate. For me, I would feed the goat cheese crumbled into the food or from my hand as a treat one day, and then I would do the goat's milk the other day. This is assuming an adult dog who is in good health already. The goat's milk is particularly helpful if you have one of those fussy eaters. Now, I happen to have two dogs that are very fussy eaters. It doesn't matter what you feed them. They are always kind of, I'm not so sure. I don't really want to eat it. When you put the goat's milk onto their food and mix their food in, and again, this is for kibble, dehydrated, freeze-dried, or regular frozen raw. If you put the milk on it, the dogs are instantly attracted to it. The milk is something that's very appealing to them. Same with the cheese. If you mix the cheese through it, it gives them just that little bit of extra added interest, and you'll find that they'll eat for you much more readily. So the cheese you could use, like as I said, as a treat, and so you have a little bit less mixed through the food. So if you have a really fussy eater, you may want to go with the milk and give them a little bit more. You can rehydrate dehydrated raw and freeze-dried raw by using goat's milk instead of water. Or if you don't want to give your dog that much milk, if you happen to have a large dog, you can mix it half and half, or you can even do 3/4 of the goat milk and 1/4 of water rather, so that you aren't overloading them with tons and tons of milk. Now these products, as I said, are raw and they're not pasteurized. So that is really important for dogs because this means they can digest it, because the lactase enzymes are still present. As soon as you pasteurize milk or cheese, the lactase enzymes are destroyed, and that's what causes dogs' digestion problems. So that's why if you feed a dog cow's milk or cow's cheese, you'll find that they get diarrhea. With goat's milk and goat cheese, that doesn't happen. Now the cheese and the milk is also fantastic for puppies as it's loaded with calcium. Puppies need lots and lots of calcium as they're growing and developing. And regardless of how complete your food is and everything else, it's a really good thing if you give them some extra calcium. So a little bit of the goat's milk each day, some goat's cheese. You can use the goat cheese as a training tool. It'll be a high value treat. Absolutely fantastic for puppies. It also really helps your puppy to continue to develop a really strong immune system and a really nicely balanced gut flora. Now, if your puppy or your dog has had to be on medication for any reason, we all know that most medications, and particularly antibiotics, tend to destroy all of our good bacteria in our guts. So by introducing a little bit more of the goat's milk and goat cheese, you give your dog the opportunity to redevelop all of those good gut bacteria to recover from the medication. You can feed it to them while they're on the medication, and that will also help to reduce the effect that the antibiotics or medication are having on their microbiome. Now, if you have a dog who has a very sensitive stomach and has problems with digestion, so they might vomit every now and then, or they constantly have a loose stool every few days, or maybe they have a loose stool every day, if they have bad breath, or if they have lots of gas, and nobody likes a gassy dog, then by increasing the good bacteria and improving their gut flora using the goat's milk and the goat's cheese, you'll help to eliminate all of those problems. It may not completely eliminate them, but it will go a long ways to doing so. We like to recommend to everybody that you use this product in combination with some other ones to help with those types of issues. We like to use fermented pre-probiotic from Oli Naturals. It's called Good Beginnings. And if a dog really is having digestion issues and constantly having the problems with their stool or vomiting regularly, then we also like to introduce fermented vegetables to them. We'll deal with those two things on another episode, but just so you have that in the back of your mind if you do have a dog that has digestion issues. It also, the probiotics and all of the natural enzymes that are in these products also are terrific for helping if your dog has any allergy problems. Now, this is usually an environmental allergy. There are really, truly almost no dogs who have food allergies. It's a very common thing when your dog is having issues to be diagnosed with a food allergy. That generally means we don't really know what's causing the problem, so we'll say it's an allergy. Because in reality, if you do the complete actual allergy testing for food, which is only available through a couple of specific spots in the US, your dog really is not allergic to any of the food he's eating. It is much more likely that it's because his internal system is not balanced properly. It doesn't matter whether he's eating a raw diet or a kibble diet. This can happen with any dog. So adding in the raw goat's milk and the raw goat's cheese really will help because they're both a natural anti-inflammatory. And when your dog responds to anything that causes them an allergic or a sensitive reaction, that's usually based on inflammation that's built up internally. So by feeding them these products, you help to control that. Coconut oil and coconut crumble. Those are also other really good ways and natural anti-inflammatories. And if you watched our other episode on the dog's dish about tripe, you'll know it too is good for that. So my recommendation is you take all of these things and you alternate them for your dog. You don't just give them raw goat's milk and raw goat's cheese. You don't just give them a probiotic every day in their food. You don't just give them tripe. You combine all of these things. And it's really important to deal with a dog who's in front of you. What works for my dog is not necessarily going to work for your dog. So you have to do a little bit of mixing and matching and trying until you get that balance just right. You'll find that sweet spot. But these are tools to help you find all of the various things that will help your dog with the issues that most people present at the veterinary clinic with. We want to use food as medicine as opposed to medicine, which generally has more side effects, and sometimes the cure is worse than the original problem. The goat's cheese and the goat's milk will also strengthen your dog's digestive system and their immune response system, which is great. So these are wonderful products to have in your toolbox for your dog. This is how the goat cheese comes in this little small package. It's 100 grams. It comes frozen. You can just take out 1 cube at a time if that's all you're going to feed to your dog to thaw it out, and just leave the rest in the freezer. Or you can freeze out. You can thaw out the whole bag if you feel you're going to be using a larger quantity if your dog is bigger. Realistically, I would say if you have a really large dog, you're not going to want to depend on any one thing because that's going to be quite an expensive option for you. So you want to vary things. Dogs like variety. So as I said, putting the goat's milk and the goat's cheese on a picky eater's food will really help to stimulate their appetite and get them excited about eating again. But dogs will be bored with things in a few days. So don't do the same thing every day. Try using the goat cheese through the food on day 1. On the next day, maybe try some quail eggs. On the next day, put some goat's milk in. On the next day, add some high value, really nutritional treats, and so on. Give your dog variety. That is the spice of life and the key to good health. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again on the next episode of A Dog's Dish.